Hey sunshine, it's your stay-at-home mom, Sophie Chanel, and I am back with another video. Yes, you guys, today we are going to be doing another Love and Marriage Huntsville recap. And in this particular episode, you guys, I have to say, if I were to rate it, I would give it, I would say like a 9.8. Overall, this episode had a lot going on, even though there weren't that many scenes. We got the majority of our characters back again. So, hey Mel, hey girl, hey Tish, hey Marceau, you know, Kimmy and Maurice, welcome back. It's been the Trish and Ken show as of late. So it's good to see everybody back. So this scene opened up with Mel doing her property preservation course. So typically it seems like she does this course online, but she now has an in the field class going on while she's also talking to the people via Zoom who are taking the course virtually. And so while she's there, they're learning about, you know, the different things to look out for when you are rehabbing these properties. And I'm like, yes, let's get back to why we all started to tune into the show. Like, we want to learn about this entrepreneurial side of property preservation, property investing, you know, real estate investment. Like, this is what I came to see, you know. So while there, I guess a thought just occurs to Mel, like, oh yeah, while I'm out here, I forgot Sunny does this. I should call Sunny. So she goes and she calls Sunny on FaceTime, and she's, you know, like, oh, I thought about you. You should be here. Sunny's back in St. Louis. And so she's like, no, I'm not there. She asked her, are you going to be at Kimmy and Maurice's event? Sunny then explains to her, no, she won't be there. It's like, well, you know, I'll have some news to share with you later. So that was that. So then we cut to Nell and Chris at home. They are recapping their time with Dr. Francis and the children. And Nell is just really not getting it. She's like, I'm trying to understand like why this turned into like the Nell show. Like, all the issues are like now my problem. And I think what Dr. Francis was trying to get her to see is that she is at the root of all of the issues. You know, it stems from her and then just trickles down. And I really want Nell and Chris to just both put their foot down. Like, if you feel like, you know, they go to dad because he's like the yes man or whatever, then give them a reason to go to him, like, and to not come to you when it comes to money. Be available for their emotional needs, but at some point you have to set that boundary, like, hey, no, like, you're cut off in terms of finances, but if you need me to be here for you, to talk to listen, I'll be there. So I think she does need to work on her hothead tendencies, but that was that. They just need to learn how to navigate and use the word no. Use that statement. No is a statement. It's a sentence, like, no. So then we travel over to Kimmy and Maurice's property. So they bought a building, not this particular building. They bought a building a while back, and they say it's like a mom and pop kind of eatery, and they are testing out one of the chefs in Huntsville that is interested in the property. So the chef set up a tasting for all of them to come. Kimmy and Maurice are there. And Mel shows up. She's the first one to show up. She got the finger waves, you know, short hair Mel is back. Okay, she's back. So don't be confused. And I feel like short hair Mel don't play. So I'm interested to see what short hair finger wave Mel got for us. Okay. So Nell and Chris arrive. Tisha and Marceau come, and right out the gate, Maurice is like, Tish, you good? Like, is there going to be a truce? And he's referring to how Tisha just really showed herself at Nell's party a few episodes before, where she was just really like bam, 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 bam. It's like, where has this Tisha been the whole time? Like, we haven't really seen her. So Tisha's just letting him know, like, she's all about getting things off her chest. You know, and this season is her season. She's getting things off her chest. She's like, right, Mel, right, Kimmy. And so anytime anybody puts you on the spot, you already know, like, you gotta have your comeback ready, which Mel does. And so she's like, well, since we're getting things off of our chest, like, I had my property preservation course the other day, and afterwards I sent my students over to Black, but it was closed. Why is that? You know, and you could see Marceau and Tisha kind of tuck their tails a little bit, and they're like, oh, well, was it students or was it millimeters? And Mel is just like, who cares? Either way, I sent people over there, my students, and it was closed. So why is that? And so Marceau kind of like tiptoes around some things, like, oh, it's because we're Black, or it's because, you know, whatever. He ends up saying that it's because of the furniture that they had. They didn't pay the use tax on it, so they shut them down for a week. I don't know. That's not my area of expertise. I ain't never heard of it. If you are familiar with that, if you own a business and you don't pay the use tax, is that something like they can shut you down? So let us chime down in the comments and let us know. Everybody goes to the room to eat, and let me tell you, this food was looking really good. Like, eating is my love language, so I'm like, listen, I'm here for the food. They had chicken, they had dressing. I heard the green beans were really good. I think Stormy said the chicken was busting. So Nell then goes ahead and asks, like, has anybody talked to Destiny? And so Trisha and Ken are there by this point, and Trisha's like, well, you know, I trained Destiny and I have talked to her. And Mel's like, so Nell is like, so how is she doing since the whole Sunny Moses thing at the gala? And Trisha's just like, well, you know, she seems to be doing well, but she does have, you know, some choice words for a few of the people. So here comes Tisha again. This episode, Tisha's a little bit messy. Like, this season, we're seeing more of a messy side of Tisha. So she's like, oh, would one of those people happen to be Kimmy? And so it's just kind of like, girl, why are you putting your family under the bus? Like, really? Kimmy goes on to say that, you know, when she had her cancer diagnosis and she was going in for surgery, Sunny was one of the last faces that she saw, and Sunny was praying for her, you know, for that surgery. So she has this sort of soft spot for Sunny. So then Nell says, well, she thinks that Kimmy is only having that soft spot for her because Sunny didn't come from Maurice. So then it's like the conversation kind of shifts, and it's like, you know, are you only, you know, cool with this person because they didn't try to come for your man? And there's this whole talk or discussion about production, and just how I gathered it was just like boundaries and not necessarily like really trusting them around your men or your husband, spouse, you know, that type of thing. Kimmy feels like a lot of the burden lies on Moses. She feels like he should have wrapped things up with Destiny before starting anything with Sunny, which I agree with. I feel like that burden lies on both Moses and Destiny. If you're broken up, be very clear and concise with your communication so that it's not open to interpretation. One thing about me is that I'm a big communicator. I over communicate, and it probably gets on my husband's nerves, but I guarantee you'll know where I stand because I'm going to communicate it. And a lot of times it may come off as blabber because sometimes I'm communicating my thoughts, and it may not necessarily end up being that thing that I'm thinking through and processing. So maybe I should stick with just communicating what I've processed, and that's my final thing. But I'm walking and talking you through the process with me. And so I feel like they both should have had some sort of communication where it's like, okay, we're done. It's over. Finito, you know? Chris also, so Kimmy says they're discussing that whole aspect, and there's this conversation that's brought up that, you know, it's based on a person's interpretation. You know, Destiny thought that her and Sunny were closer friends or were friends, and Sunny expressed to Chris like Destiny was never her friend. She's just doing her job as her producer. And so I believe it was Tish who's like, well, no, because Sunny was also hanging out with Destiny outside of filming. She would fly out to these places and do things with Destiny. So then we move over to Mel asking Ken and Trisha how the gala went. She was like, you all modeled at the gala, right? How did that go? They say, you know, everything went well. And some type of way, the conversation comes up about their relationship. Trish tells the group that she did meet up with Marquez, who was her current husband, and they did discuss the divorce. And she lets Marcel know, like, oh yeah, we heard that you also met up with Marquez. And Marcel's like, yeah, I did meet up with him. He used to, you know, be an employee of mine. And she's like telling Marcel, like, yeah, I think you said some things that may have hurt his feelings. And Marcel was like, yeah, you know, I told him that if you owe Ken anything, you owe him a thank you for stepping up, taking care of your children. We discussed this in, you know, a previous video. I think Ken kind of takes little jabs at Marquez in this moment because I feel like he thinks like, because Marcel, you know, said that in his defense, like, oh, okay, I'm in here, so let me just milk it a little bit. And Marcel's like, whoa, pump the brakes, you know? And so he's like, you know, with all due respect, there are some things though that also should be taken into consideration. One, that is his wife, and two, there seemed to be some discrepancy with the timelines. And so everybody's asking these questions like, so when did you all meet? So they're like 2 years ago. Then they're like, well, do you mean like meet in person, or do you mean like meet like online? So then a different number comes. First it's like 2021, and then it's like 2019, then all of a sudden it's like 2015, and here they will go down the mulberry bush, the mulberry bush, the mulberry bush. Here we go around the mulberry bush. Like they going all over the town, all over the world with these answers. And it's like giving the Ken and Trish show, and it's just very confusing because them now together are sounding like Trish, when it's like when people question her, it's like, well, this and I don't really know, and why would he say that, and what, like, y'all is giving inauthentic, and I just don't really know how I feel about it, because it's like, it's super cringe. Like, be clear and concise. Like, if you already know, it already seems like they're rehearsed. They've rehearsed their answers. So it's like, if you've already rehearsed it, at least be on the same page and just be like, boom, this is when we met. Boom, this is when it, when we started talking. This was the DM on this date, So as they're talking, there's all this, conversation going about how the DM part wasn't a relationship or whatever. And so Mel kind of defends it. She's like, yeah, there's some people that won't understand that a conversation can just be that, just a conversation. And so Marceau is just kind of like, no, I don't think that's right, because Ken is like, we would have conversations, but whenever he would come back around, we would stop communicating with one another. And so Marceau's point with that is that if it's something that you all are communicating about that you have to stop when a person's spouse is around or comes back, then that's proof that this is conversation that shouldn't be happening. And so Mel is defending it like, no, people can have conversations and it just be it. So I want to ask you all, how do you feel about being in a marriage or a committed relationship with someone? Should your spouse or you have open conversations with a person of the opposite sex? Like, to me, I just don't, it's not like, I don't entertain that. Like, I get guys in my DMs, which to me is just like very, I don't understand it, because I'm very open about my relationship, about my marriage, and how obsessed, I am with my man. And so to me, it's just kind of like, why y'all sliding in my DMs? Like, what you want to be our sugar daddy? Like, what is happening? Because I'm very much obsessed, very much in love, very much happy, very much not going anywhere. So why are you in my DMs? Like, there's no level of conversation that we should be having or could be having that I'm going to be taking a little sidebar away from my husband to have like a conversation with you. And so same thing with Ken and Trish. It's like, why are you, if you know she's married, like, there's nothing she can teach you in terms of training. Like, have you seen Ken? Look at him. I mean, she's body goals too, but as he knows all the things he needs to know about working out. They both are experts in their field of working out, getting the muscles and all of that. So there's nothing she could be telling him about anything when it comes to working out. So it's like, them chocolate drops meant more. They meant more. And so again, I just don't think that it's appropriate. I feel like when you start having those conversations with people, yes, they may start out as conversations, but so do relationships. So do situationships. So do like all the other things that happen behind closed doors between grown folks. And why open that door if you are married? That's my whole thing. So I feel like a lot of times, like the Bible tells us, resist temptation, so why even have the conversation? I think that a large part of a lot of people is that we like to entertain certain things because I think it feels good to know that you're wanted, to know that someone has the eyes for you. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I don't agree with that. I differ with Mel in my opinion on that. And so anyway, Tish and Marceau kind of in their confessional are like, maybe this is what Martell was talking about when he was like, Mel was having conversations during the marriage. So then Mel asked if everyone could go to the other room because she had an announcement. So they all go to the room. She hands out these gift bags. Inside the gift bags, there are these they look kind of like wine bottles with a cork, and it's like a message in a bottle. And so her announcement is that she's inviting the girls on a girls trip and they are going to St. Thomas. So then Mel asks Nell to read the message that's in the bottle. And I think it's something like, you've been invited on vacay, but never the Melody Cherie way. So why would Nell say, you've been invited on vacay, but never the Melody Cherie way? And Cherie probably over there like, man, how do I get in it? How? And that could be seen as a little bit of shade, because you do know that Mel's ex-husband Martell did date Cherie. So there's that. It's kind of like super cringe. But anyway, that's it for that scene. So then we go over to Tish and Kimmy. Tish goes over to Kimmy's house and they're meeting up. And Destiny ends up joining them, and they're just kind of giving Destiny the rundown of the dinner, trying to figure out why she wasn't there. And before Destiny gets there, Tish does tell Kimmy like she feels like Kimmy may not have shown up because she felt like Sonny and Moses would be there. But we find out that Destiny claims that she had a date, which is the reason that she was not at the tasting. And Tish also tells her that they've been invited on a girls trip. She extends this secondhand invitation to her. She's asking her to be her +1 because Mel did not officially invite Destiny. We know that the two of them are not friends, but Tish is going to be inviting Destiny as her +1 on this trip. So they did give her the rundown about everything that happened at the tasting, and Tish, again, being a little bit messy, comes in and she's like, well, you know, Sonny trying to take your friends. And she's talking about Kimmy, and Kimmy's like, you know, seeing her there during that cancer situation, she does give a little bit of grace to Sonny. She's like, but, you know, I think it's one of those things that we all are like, we can be cool with Sonny, but if things go left, we're Team Destiny. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that has been the reigning theme with most of the people within the group. So while they're talking, Destiny starts talking about the meetup that she had with Stormy and Trish. These names, man. So Destiny is like telling them, you know, how Stormy tells them that Martell says that Trish has been to his house several times. And so I'm like, dang, how we get to several times? First, you know, Trish is trying to figure out, has she been there? Did I go there? Was I there? I don't know if I went there. So now it's like, you done been there several times. It's like, when do the lies end? Like, when does it stop? Let us know. And so then, you know, Tish and Kimmy are now intrigued, because it's like, how are these two even linked together? And that's when we all figure out, like, it goes down in the DMs. And at this point, y'all just keep y'all DMs closed. Like, Huntsville is too small of a place. Everybody's been talking to everybody. Everybody messing with everybody. Like, ain't nobody got time. So then we get to the scene with Mel. She meets up with Sonny. They go to a boutique, and Mel wants to go shopping to get ready for this trip to St. Thomas. And so she's just like, listen, I'm going to come right out the gate, let you know what's up. These people are not here for you, Sonny. I'm just going to be straight up with you, because this is what I would want somebody to do for me, which I get as well. Like, don't have me walking into the lion's den without a heads up. So she's like, we went to the tasting, and nobody really seemed to have your back. Nobody seemed to be really feeling you. And Sonny's like, really? Like, I thought me and Kimmy were cool. And she was like, really? Y'all know how Mel do. So you say y'all were cool? Oh, okay. She was like, well, I mean, she started out being like, you know, you were there for her. But then it was like, when the group was like, nah, they can't get down with it, it's like she's switched on over. And so she's just like, you know, that just is really hypocritical. She's like, she's not, which I can see her perspective to a certain degree. Mel's perspective is that, listen, Destiny and Moses were never married. They lived in different states. They weren't in a 14+ year relationship like her and Martell. And she was married to Martell. And she was expressing that she was in this marriage with Martell for all these years. The group, their friends, knew what Martell had done and still chose to go on screen and just publicly say, like, Martell is a good guy. They refused to call the other woman a side chick. And I feel that she didn't feel validated. And this same group of people is now stepping up and stepping in for Destiny, even though she did not have the commitment level to Moses that Mel and Martell had to one another. And so to some degree, I get what she's saying. You know, it's just kind of like, okay, so you all can be here for this person, that I don't know if they knew Destiny as long as they knew Mel. But like she said, these are people that have been to her house. She's been to their house. They've cooked for her. She's cooked for them. They've gone on vacations together. And from her perspective, she feels like she was not supported, which I get. And I think that is what's going to really bring me from the mess to the message.
Turn the mess into a message. Here. Every episode we dissect, clear. From the chaos we steer.
The mess to the message for this particular episode, and this is something I'm gonna do every episode. A lot of this is a bunch of mess sometimes, so we gotta turn this mess into something positive. So the message, I think there's several here, is that one, we have to learn to be better and not bitter. I think that for so long, the toxicity of Mel and Martell has been tainting the show, and at times makes it a little bit heavy. You know what I'm saying? I can't speak from Mel's perspective because I'm not in her shoes. I get it. I've been in a relationship before where the person like stepped out. We weren't married or anything like that. Or, you know, there was someone else in the picture. And so I can understand that hurt. I can't relate on the level of having 4 children with somebody and the man having another child on you. Like, I can't relate to that. And so I can empathize with her because it's just like, man, I can only imagine. And so I understand her hurt, you know, and feeling like your friend group is showing up for somebody else, unlike they've shown up for you. However, I think that throughout that time, Mel has done some things and said some things that have also been hurtful to her friends. And so I know the way that I'm set up, and God is still working on me, is that once you kind of like come from my marriage as well, it's the gloves kind of come off a little bit. And that softness that I may have had for you may not be as prevalent, because now it's like, not only was while your marriage was going down, you were trying to bring mine down too. So it's just kind of like, you can't expect that same level of, you know, support from people that you also tried to, you know, cause harm to within their marriage as well. I feel like there was a lack of sensitivity on Mel's part with them and vice versa. So the message is, let's start doing and being better as opposed to being bitter. And I also think that be the friend that you really want to, you know, have. I think it's as simple as that, like the golden rule: treat others how you want to be treated. If you want someone to be there for you, show up for you, support you, you have to be that for them as well. Like, it starts with yourself. And that's our message for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to tune in next week when we recap next week's episode. Again, I'm your stay-at-home mom. Oh, do y'all like my little bracelets? So my husband has an aunt. She's my aunt now. Auntie Nina, she always wears like a whole like wrist full of these bracelets. So every time I'm with her, if I remember, I'll grab one from her. That's what she wants. She's like, yeah, whenever I see my nieces, I want y'all to get a new bracelet. So nieces, I'm just letting y'all know, when you see Auntie Nina, get you a bracelet. And I think it's so cute. If you're interested I'll put a link in the description box where you can go and find these bracelets. But I think they're just so cute. But yes, that's it for this video. I will catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.